Hey guys, welcome to the Loan Roundup with me at JJ Coda. Give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram as we go through the good, the bad and the ugly of the loans we've got out so far for this week.
You came along just like a song, and brighten my day. Who'd have believed that you were part of a dream? Now it all seems like years away.
We'll start with Alfie Devine, who played 78 minutes in Preston North End's 1-1 draw against Norwich. Not really much to say with that one. It's very much a copy and paste. Seems to be fitting him well. I think we're seeing that is his level. And I would, as I've said, I'd be very surprised if Preston don't turn around and make that deal permanent. I think the only thing that we might find is the fact that it's made permanent in January, because I wouldn't be surprised if Tottenham have suitors for him. So, continues to do well there. That's a really good sort of shout for him. We then go on to Will Lancashire. Really worried about this one. Oxford on a really, really bad run at the moment. He came on as a 75th minute sub in Oxford's 1-0 loss to Charlton. He hasn't scored in quite a few games now, so we'll just have to see how that develops really there. Whether Oxford make a change or if Spurs look at something different, who knows with it. Hopefully it's just a blip and he can get back on it when Boxing Day comes around. George Abbott, still injured. We knew that one was going to be a while, so we just sort of keep waiting to see when he'll be back. It's how long's a piece of string, hopefully sooner rather than later. Yang Min Hyuk was an unused sub, and from what I'm led to believe, there's reports that he will be pulled from Portsmouth, sent out on loan abroad, which is where I think he needs to go. I just don't feel that this is working for him. He's had a loan at QPR, which didn't work. He had a loan at Portsmouth. He's shown brilliances in both, but it's just a case of it doesn't seem to be for some reason the Championship is where we're going to see the best of him. But I'm not sure that he's going to reach that level that we potentially expect anyway. But as I say, I think the likelihood is that loan will get cut short in January and he will get sent somewhere else. We then got Ashley Phillips. He played the full game in Stoke's 1-0 loss to Watford. Again, seems to be a mainstay in that team, doing well, getting regular minutes. I don't think he's got it in him to make that level up. I think there's too many players ahead of him. And I think that my feeling would be is that move gets made either permanent or somewhere else that he can go to, whether it be Championship or lower Premier League level. We'll have to wait and see. You then got Luka Vuskovic, and that's very much a prime example of somebody who's already in his way. He's a top talent. He played the full game in their 1-1 draw against Eintracht Frankfurt, which they're no mugs. They're a fantastic team in the Bundesliga. I believe as well, he stepped up in terms of when one of their players got injured to make sure they hadn't swallowed their tongue. So, that there is a real leader, and I do believe a future captain of Tottenham. I think he's got those qualities within that, and I know that people are sniffing around to try and see if they can prize him away from us. I think Tottenham would be mad to do that. I think others would be leaving it ahead of him. Jamie Donnelly, it's rinse and repeat with him. Unused sub, I think it's clear he won't be at Stoke. I think this will probably be either his last game or his second to last game with them, because he's just not being used in any shape or form. It's such a shame. He's got the talent there. I think he does need another move. Hopefully abroad, I think it would suit him, but we'll have to wait and see with that one. So no surprises there. Manor Solomon had 2 games. He was an 83rd minute sub in Villarreal's 2-1 loss in the Copa del Rey against Racing Santander, who are not in La Liga's top division. So I think that's probably why there was no surprise that he was an unused sub against Barcelona. Similar with him, I think that the club are probably going to maybe send him somewhere else just to try and get him some minutes, try and get him in the window to somewhere that will perhaps snap him up and what have you. I think it's just too intermittent with him there at Villarreal. They're doing well, but he doesn't seem to be. So, bit of a shame, but not surprising, really, with regards to that. We then had Damala Ajay, not in the squad with Doncaster. Again, I don't get that one. They're struggling in League One and yet can't get in the squad. So I do hope Tottenham pull the plug on that one and get him somewhere else, because that's just not, for some reason, working. There's moments of brilliance that we have seen, and for some reason they're just not taking advantage of it. Tyrese Hall was not in the squad. Now, I don't know if that was because of an extension of the suspension. I wasn't sure if it was a 1-match ban or if it was longer. Hopefully, he'll be back in the squad soon, because that loan was going really, really well. Like George Abbott's when he was there. I do feel that Notts County is a club that we seem to have a good relationship with, and they seem to want to support with. So, I'd like to maybe see Ajay go down to Notts County, and get some minutes from there. Whether some of the other youngsters that we've got could do that, we'll have to wait and see. But I do think Notts County we've got a good relationship with, and I think that's one we really should be utilising more and more, to be fair. You got Mikey Moore. He played the full game in Rangers' 2-1 loss against Hearts. I think that's obviously a difficult one because they're playing him kind of all over the front three. Danny Roll likes him. He trusts him. But I think it's very difficult in terms of where he seems to be playing. I watched that game and, yeah, I wasn't sure what position he was trying to be playing in with that. So, hopefully that, I think it's a tough one because Hearts are just flying. They're beating all the teams around them. They beat Celtic last week. They now beat Rangers. If they can carry on the way they're going, hopefully they've got a real push for the title. But we'll have to wait and see. But fingers crossed that Mikey Moore keeps doing well, because I've heard a lot of rave reviews with him at Rangers, and the bits I've seen he has done well. So hopefully that will continue. And then to wrap it up, we've got Alfie Dorrington. He played the full game in Aberdeen's 3-0 loss to Sparta Prague in the Conference League. That was always going to be a tough one. Sparta Prague, generally, they're a level above that. I think I have seen them occasionally in the Champions League. So that is one that was always going to be a tough one. But then got followed up with him not even being in the squad against Celtic. So, it's just one extreme to next there. I think Spurs will look at that. I think if you look at those loans, the ones that stick out that will probably be pulled and gone somewhere else, I'd probably say would be Yang Min Hyuk, Jamie Donnelly, Damala Ajay, and Alfie Dorrington. I do think others will go out on loan. We'll have to wait and see. Hopefully some of the youngsters go out on loan. We might even see Dragusin go out on loan. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe either one of Tell or Odebear. But let me know what you think. Do you think that, maybe others maybe need change, or others, that are in the squad that could do with a loan? Let us know, give us your thoughts. But yeah, as I say, give us a follow at JJ Coda. As I say, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, doing this as part of with Harry Scarfe. So, give us a like, give us a follow, leave us a comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs, and a Merry Christmas.